Yo, what's up guys? In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the card that the UFC just announced, which is UFC 333, and it got announced during the main card of the Islam Makhachev versus Ian Gary. I'm going to let you guys know my early predictions and my opinions on this card, so let's get right into it. But starting off with the main events, we have Alexander Volkanovski finally fighting against Movsar Evloev, and this fight has been rumored for a while, and I'm surprised it took all the way to October for these guys to fight, but it was only a matter of time this fight was going to happen. I'm a bit surprised that they're making this fight in Abu Dhabi, which is Movsar home territory in a way. There's a lot of Russians that go out there, and from the looks of it, this could possibly be Alexander Volkanovski's last fight in the UFC or ever, and I don't understand why they give his opponent home advantage. I think that's crazy. I feel like we all know how things could get over there. Sometimes things begin rigged with bad reffing and the weight scale sometimes over there, but besides all that, I do like this main event. All of us felt like Volk's last fight against Diego Lopez should have been against Movsar Evloev, but they ended up making Movsar fight Lerone Murphy as a title eliminator, and that was honestly an interesting fight, but Movsar manages to defeat him and get this title shot. I think in a fight like this, I would say Volkanovski wins by knockout or decision against Movsar. I would say all the Volkanovski fans don't like when he goes up against power punchers just because he's getting older and he's had 2 bad knockout losses in his career, and we all know Movsar doesn't really have any striking, I would say, compared to Volkanovski, and especially no knockout power. I just think that Volk will win in a fight like this because he's already gone against a style like this, just a bigger version of him, which of course was against Islam Makhachev a while back, and at that time that was prime Volk. And I really don't want to say that's the same fighter from back then because it's been such a long time, but I could confidently say that Volkanovski will be stopping Movsar's takedown attempts and just outstriking him. I could see Volkanovski stop 80% of those takedowns. I could definitely see throughout the fight where Movsar could capitalize off certain scenarios in that fight, but the age will definitely still play a factor for Volk, but he just has amazing fighting IQ. But I can definitely see Movsar gas out in the later rounds just trying to take down Volk, and I think Volk would take advantage of that, and I would say that Volkanovski probably has a chance of finishing this fight in the 4th or in the 5th round, but then again, I'm not sure because he is much of an older fighter now. I'm curious on how the odds would be on this fight, but I would say Volkanovski should be a slight favorite. I think if Movsar was to win, I could definitely see Volk retiring, and this would impact the division in a very big way just because Movsar is just a very inactive fighter, and I think a lot of people don't like his style of fighting, and majority of his wins are all by decision, but I would still say there's a lot of threat in this featherweight division, but give me Volkanovski to defeat Movsar by TKO or decision. And now the co-main event, which is another banger. We have the rematch, the trilogy of Merab versus Peter Yan, and it's so interesting how the last 2 fights went, because in the first fight you have Merab completely dominating Peter Yan, and in the second fight it was completely the whole other way around where Peter Yan dominated Merab. But I do remember in the first fight Peter Yan claimed that he was hurt going into that first fight, which led that rematch with pure domination, and I did a prediction video a while back and I had Merab winning, but damn, he wasn't lying because he went to that rematch with revenge, and that was vintage Peter Yan that we have been missing. And I thought we lost vintage Peter Yan because he had close fights and he had losses in his career after he lost the belt, but going into that second fight, Merab was on a crazy title defense run. He was really active the whole year, going up against Umar Nurmagomedov, Corey Sandhagen, Sean O'Malley. There's a chance that it caught up to him. Maybe him being so active and not taking any rest caught up to him, and that's probably why he lost the rematch. Sort of the same thing that happened to Alex Pereira, where he did lose against Ankalaev, but they had the rematch and he beat him in 30 seconds. Not saying Merab would do the same thing, but I think we'd get a better fight compared to that last fight that they had. But the story going to this co-main events, both sides are very interesting. I do remember Merab saying that in their first fight, it was very big to him because he didn't want to lose against the Russian, Petr Yan, just because of the Georgian and Russian history. So this trilogy is a very big deal, not only because the title's on the line, but reputation is on the line as well. And I honestly don't know who's gonna win this trilogy. I'm gonna need some time to really think about who wins this fight, but all I can say is that the co-main event is an absolute banger, and I'm more excited about this fight than the main event, I can't even lie. But the next fight, we have a quick return from both fighters who just fought not too long ago. Lonnie Kavanaugh versus Ramzan Timirev. This card is fucking stacked because this is another banger. I'm a big fan of Kavanaugh. Although he lost against Brandon Royval recently, I do think he has a good chance of becoming a world champion. His striking skills and his power is amazing for the flyweight division. But his opponent, Ramzan, is coming off an impressive first round knockout win against Steve Erceg. So this fight is going to be an all-around striking match, and I'm all for it. I don't see this fight getting to the floor unless somebody gets knocked down. But my early prediction, I'm going to go with Loner Kavanaugh, just because I rank him so highly compared to these other flyweights. Although he does have 2 L's against Charles Johnson, and he has another L against Brandon Royval, but both of those guys are really good in the division. But this is a big test. So going into this fight, I really hope he mixes it up. Seeing him go for takedowns breakdowns a little bit more to have Ramzan thinking of more than just striking. Because I do think Brandon Royval did lay out the blueprint to beat a guy like Loner Kavanaugh. And this is mixing it up, but I don't think Ramzan's gonna do that. But I'm really excited for this matchup. And another good fight on this card, we have Alexander Volkov fighting against Rizvan Kuniev. It almost feels like all of us know that Volkov should be the guy that deserves that title shot next. But going into a fight like this, I think he will get a statement win against Kuniev. Because Alexander Volkov is coming off a win against Waldo Acosta back in January, so it's been a while since he's fought. But Kuniev just came off a knockout win and is currently on a 2-fight winning streak right now, and he's slowly gaining momentum, which makes him dangerous. But I think Volkov will get him in a submission and somehow tap him out into the 3rd round or the late 2nd round. I do think Volkov deserves a title shot at least once. I understand that there's other guys in line like Cyril Gane and possibly Alex Pereira. But anyways, the next fight we have Arnold Allen against Aaron Pico. Another good fight on this card. Aaron Pico's coming off an insane and impressive win against Pitbull back in April. He looked on point the whole fight, but he's finally gonna get an opponent like Arnold Allen who's been in the UFC for a while and he has UFC experience because he also gone against the best fighters in the division. So in a way, this is another big test for Aaron Pico. I understand Pitbull has been in the UFC for a while, but his only win has been against Dan Ige. I think going into a fight like this for Aaron Pico, he would have to wrestle a lot more against a guy like Arnold Allen and try to finish it on the floor like with a submission win or a TKO win, because Arnold Allen is ranked number 5, and with a win like this could get Aaron Pico closer to a title shot because that's a huge jump in the rankings. But Arnold Allen is coming off an impressive win against Ezequiel Costa, who was on a crazy winning streak. So for him to defeat him just goes to show that he still has it in him. But if I was to choose who wins this fight, I would say Aaron Pico by decision or submission. And the next fight we have Azmat Murzakanov versus Dominic Reyes, and this is another fight that revolves around just striking. This is a tough matchup for both of them. My first thought is that Murzakanov is gonna knock out Dominic Reyes just because Dominic Reyes is really chinny, but the size difference is gonna play a big factor in a fight like this. The reach difference is insane. I think the smart thing for Reyes to do in this fight right away is fight at a distance, because I could see him play it safe and could defeat Murzakanov by decision just because he knows how much power Murzakanov carries. But I could also see Dominic Reyes knock him out in the 2nd round. I don't know what it is, but I could definitely see that. But I like this matchup as well for both of these guys, just because Dominic Reyes did just have a boring fight against Johnny Walker last time, and Murzakanov is coming off a knockout loss in April. But a part of me thinks that Dominic Reyes is going to go into this fight trying to prove a point. So give me Dominic Reyes to knock out Murzakanov in the 2nd round or to win by decision. And another fight that they have on this card is Abbas Magomedov versus Cam Roston. They finally given Cam a chance to crack the top 15, and against Abbas, who's coming off a good win against Michael Oleksiejczuk. Man, those names are tongue twisters, bro, I swear. But he was on a 3-fight winning streak leading up to that fight against Abbas. The thing about this fight is if Abbas could manage his stamina, he has a good chance of defeating Cam, because the only way I see him defeating him is by wrestling, because Cam is currently on a 7-fight winning streak with 5 of those wins being by finish. Cam did lose against Taurus Finney in the Contender Series, and that says a lot because Abbas is gonna have to wrestle him the whole time, and I can see him getting tired trying to hold him down. And I'm 50-50 on this fight, but I'm slightly leaning towards Abbas Magomedov, but I can definitely see this pick getting changed when it gets closer to the fight, because if Cam manages to keep this fight standing, then it's all over, truly. And I can see him win in the 2nd round, but for now, I'm gonna play it safe and just go with Abbas Magomedov. And another fight that they have on this card is Nikita Krylov versus Abdul Rahman. Not gonna lie, Nikita Krylov is getting knocked out in the 1st round against Abdul Rahman. Honestly, I don't know how to say his name, but that man is a beast. He's literally coming off a 8-second knockout win, and he has crazy power. If Nikita Krylov got knocked out by Robert Whittaker, I can't imagine what Abdul Rahman would do to him. So give me Abdul Rahmanov, I don't know how to say his name, Rahman, to absolutely destroy his chin in the 1st round. I don't want to say he's going to be in the first 20 seconds again or something like that, but it will definitely be in the 1st round. That man has a lot of potential, and I'm really excited for this fight as well. And the next fight is Grant Dawson going up against Narulo. Interesting name, I ain't gonna lie. But Narulo is a decision merchant. He's just gonna wrestle him and not try to get a finish. But this is what makes this fight interesting, because I do think Grant Dawson is just a way better striker, but it's gonna come down to that grappling defense. But Grant Dawson is known as a wrestler, and he's also a black belt with 14 wins by submission. So if Grant Dawson is able to get this guy on the floor, then there's a high chance that he could get this win. But I'm not sure how this fight really goes. I don't really got a set winner, but I just know that this fight will be going to decision. But that is the whole card and all the matchups they announced so far. I really hope none of these fights get pulled out of the the card because this is a solid card. I would give it a 10 out of 10. But a lot could happen from now to October 24th. So hopefully, like I said, all these fights go through. I cannot wait. I'm not sure why they announced this first before UFC 332, but I'll take it. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.